So this is a clip of Biden's recent town hall, and I already showed it to Doc so he heard it. I'm gonna play it real quick for the podcast, and then we're gonna
May I
discuss
ask a
it.
question?
Yeah, go for it.
Does it look to y'all like Biden's forehead got bigger?
I mean, he's pretty old, man. He's probably losing more hair. It's probably just
No, but I mean
more
like
forehead,
the
just more
whole
forehead.
forehead.
Yeah, bro. They
Left,
put in new
right.
info in there. It's new knowledge.
It's looking a little
Secrets,
alien.
not knowledge, dog.
It's looking a
Secrets.
little
Well, technically
reptilian
knowledge.
to
You're not
me.
wrong.
Looking a little reptilian to me.
This guy.
Look at him about to sneeze.
All right, here we go.
Mm.
So we talked about on the podcast some episodes back
They're forcing
about
their labor, correct?
the
Labor camps.
Uyghur Muslims going on there.
They're basically going through a Holocaust.
Yeah, they're going through a Holocaust. They got some camps going on, and then with Hong Kong, that's just depending how you feel about that.
Can I sum up what
And he
Biden
just says
said?
cultural differences. So
Can I sum up what Biden just said?
go for it.
I'll bring it up. When I talk to him, I'll bring it up. But that's it. That's literally what he just said about the whole thing. Y'all don't like that shit? Yeah, I don't like it too. I'll bring it up to him. But y'all, he gonna do what he gonna do.
Just cultural differences.
Just cultural differences. That's literally what he just said. That's wild.
Well, this is what I mean, honestly, I always knew he was going to say this or he was going to do this. Trump was the one who was going to go to war with China. Like, in my mind, Trump was the one who pressured China enough that I felt would have drawn conflict. I actually never thought Biden would draw conflict with China. If anything, he would probably unite the people to like sanction them and stuff like that. As far as like join like some organizations with the EU and all that other bullshit, and then just kind of be like, well, we're gonna tax you, and we're gonna post banners that say don't hurt the Uyghurs, or the Uighur. I don't actually say it.
I was about to
Uyghurs.
ask about that.
Uyghurs.
Yeah,
But I don't think that they're gonna do anything, because outside of actually going into China and forcibly dismantling these camps, we can't do anything. And
What
I
do you
actually
mean?
brought this up. Remember, I told you I had that whole podcast episode where I talked about going to save the Uyghurs, and we would have to arm ourselves and go in there. Like, they're not gonna stop.
I'd argue technically we wouldn't have to go in there and physically save them. In this modern age, it would be through influence and technically speaking through trade. If the Uyghur
then that's what he's
became
gonna
such
do,
a problem
though.
that it affected their trade, they'd have to do something unless they then reacted.
But that's what he's gonna do, though.
Yeah, those same sanctions are on a lot of African countries, and they're still enslaving children and doing all that crazy shit. So,
And the whole thing about Hong
he'd
Kong,
have to
the
go in
only
there.
way to defend that city is to literally mobilize them.
No, I understand the Hong
Give
Kong
them
situation.
troops.
I understand the Hong Kong situation. Like, yeah.
Because
That's
by
the one where
law,
it's gonna
they
be
are
like,
going to reclaim
say
that
something,
city.
but what do you want me to do?
Mm,
What do you want me to do?
man. Amen. Say man. Huh?
And so, like when Biden said this, I was just like, I agree with
But
it.
people speak so passionately
because I
about how
knew he
like
was always
Hong
going to
Kong-
say this,
or
but
not
we
Hong-
all
sorry,
know
the
that like those
Holocaust
human
never
rights are wrong.
again, and it's going on again in China. So
This is what happens.
it's like, do
when
we
you're-
try to put pressure on them to stop through trade, or are we just gonna continue trading with them while they just go ahead and
I'll
perform
say
a
it.
Holocaust, and we're just like, yeah, man, it's just their culture.
I'll say it. This is what happens when you run, and your platform is social justice.
That's why I thought it was a perfect segue with what you said.
This is what happens.
When woke gets too.
Now we need answers for social. That's a social injustice.
Mm-hmm. It's a genuine social injustice going on.
But now, see, if I'm president and this is ignorant, this is why I can never be president. Plus, As soon as I became president, dick pictures would immediately surface.
Yeah, I couldn't be president. It's probably
But,
dirt out there everywhere.
I'd get on that stage and say, look, I understand, but the only way we stop that problem is we go and we get them. Will you enlist to go and get them?
That would actually be perceived as an enlistment speech, probably.
No, I know.
But that was actually what I said even within the podcast.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, look, if you're truly
if
a
you
social
truly have a
justice
problem with
warrior,
this,
Yeah.
these
we will
are
create
social injustices that are
Yeah.
happening.
You
Are
did
you
say
willing
that.
to
I
join the
remember.
military and actually do something about
And
it?
I would go a
Yeah.
step further. I'll create a fund and a separate force for those of you who feel passionate about this enough to go fight. And if we can amass enough troops for the cause to achieve it, based on what our tacticians tell us, then we'll go.
So then we have to acknowledge the darker side of America. Then.
Now it's on you guys.
That's what I said last time.
What the? No, dog, give me prove it right. That's why we're coming back to this, dog.
I
What do you
said,
mean?
I
Like, what
said,
do you
no,
mean?
Doc. Two different things. I said we run out of resources. We have to ask the citizens.
You should
They-
be
they don't
hype
wanna-
right now. Where's your
They
grin?
they don't want to trade with us. Do we go get it or not? That morality is different
Nah,
than going
bro.
to save
I
somebody.
remember what you said. You said we have our own problems here, so we don't have to deal
Huh?
with that.
You said what?
You said we have our own problems here that we need to deal with before we do that.
Yes, I do agree with that. No, I'm not saying that we should go deal with it.
Yeah, he's not making a decision either way. He's just,
I'm saying the president should say, like, okay, I understand the problem. The solution is this. This is how we get to the solution. If we can amass enough resources and people to achieve the resolution, yes. But that makes it on the onus of people to if they want to join or not. Now, if we can't get the 100,000 troops to join that we need, then we can't do it.
but you also got to set the.
Bro, it kind of sounds like you're asking the people to make an imperialistic decision. Out of that.
But that's what I'm saying. But
What?
No.
That's
I'm not
wild,
gonna let
bro.
that slide because it's different, and you know it's different, Gene. Because the first time was we ourselves need a resource. The other country does not want to trade with us. Do we ask the citizens? Do we go and get it by force, or do we not ask the citizens and hide them from that morality of it? When you're going to save a group of people that you feel are being oppressed, you're feeding into the hero complex. You're feeding into the morality of the situation. So the citizens aren't losing anything mentally because they're saying we're making the right moral decision. Whereas if we know
So
we
you're
need
arguing
a
the
res-
application of it.
Exactly. If it's just for a resource.
But it's the same method, though, as Doc.
It
I
is.
have
It's
no
imperialism,
problem,
dude.
and
You're
that wasn't the
exercising your will by
problem.
power.
My
Like it's still
problem
imperialism.
My problem wasn't the imperialism. It was the morality. I said when you're forcing the citizens to question certain moralities, that's when you'll lose your society. So, for example, now there would be an uprise if we went to China and got the Uyghurs or however you pronounce their name, right? There would actually be a uprise or a small uptick of people with hero complex in America trying to save the day and doing something stupid, okay? Whereas
Because America told them that it was just to go save the
justified.
Uyghurs, and they're willing to
Whereas
put their
in
life
this
on the line.
situation with a resource, that's thievery. That's
No,
robbery.
because it's still the same thing. You're still asking them to make a decision based off their morality. If they all, as a cohesive group, come to the
We need this
decision
resource to
that is
survive.
thievery, then by their morals, they will say no. You're asking them the exact same moral dilemma when you ask them, should we go save the Uyghurs?
I'm talking about the levity of the conclusion on the society. Like if there's repercussions for these two questions and they're different.
Yeah, but you're still asking them a moral dilemma, and that's
Yeah,
my
like,
But
thing.
my
it's still a
problem
moral
wasn't
dilemma.
the method is what I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
saying is the consequence of the type of question. The depth of the question is one is on paper is robbery. The other one is I'm trying to save somebody. If you apply it to every day, if you apply it to the lowest level of society, one is robbery. Do I need something? Yes. So I go get it from somebody who has it.
So then why aren't we then promoting this hero mentality version right now than for the Uyghur Muslims?
I don't know. I didn't say we shouldn't. I said if I was president to take it off of me, because we can all say what we want about Biden dodging and bending over. Do we all believe that we should mobilize to go get them? Honestly, I don't.
I never said mobilize. I was fine with what Trump was doing.
But just putting whatever through trade, right? So now if he just does that, people won't be happy because he ran his platform on social justice and and dramatic change, dramatic.
Shit, you're right. You might send us to war.
Exactly. So he has to do it platform wise. So I get what he's saying. Like it's imperialistic regardless, but America has always been the world's hero. That is ingrained in. That's why we're acting like how we act. That's why
the world
people
police. That's why people
feel.
Yeah.
And so we apply that to our regular society, right? And now we have the feminist movement. Now we had all these people who feel oppressed and all these things that feel oppressed that need a hero. And whoever can champion those causes, they're the police. They're the hero. Because the world, we've put that out. Whatever we put out in the world is what we apply into the smallest level societies. So I'm not saying that those two things aren't the same. I'm saying the repercussions of the two things are drastically different. When one is putting robbery into somebody's mind, the other one is putting at least the intention.
But I feel like that's just stating the obvious. Like the whole reason why you guys gave me so much backlash is because you didn't believe in putting the moral dilemma into people's hands. But like, yeah, of course, there's an obvious, deviation and consequence at the end of it.
But that was my problem.
Say the first part again. You cut out. I'm sorry.
I said that John's just kind of stating the obvious, and that the whole reason why you guys gave me so much backlash when I first proposed this idea was because you didn't agree with putting moral dilemmas in the people's hands.
I agree, but I still don't agree because
I
guess my issue was the specific.
My issue was the government's involvement with the morality. I feel like that goes to the family. I don't think the government should do that. I feel like the family should do that. That was my big takeaway from it.
The family?
Morality influencing and building.
Not necessarily that.
I know,
my
but
whole
that
thing
was
was
my
that
detachment from it. Like I feel like that comes from a solid familial unit.
And then one example was America voting on going to do something, and then the other example was if you feel emboldened enough by the issue to enlist, that's up to you. One, you can stay out of it and make no decision. One, you're voting on going to go take something.
So knowing those two, it says we're going down this rabbit hole, those two extremes exist, then how can you be president? How can you balance that tightrope?
It's impossible. Like my whole premise is it's impossible. Like it's based off of the fact that it's impossible. You cannot. We've made citizens that are impossible to please.
Because I believe if a president like a Trump or Biden actually came out and said like if you want to deal with this and you want to enlist blah blah blah, I feel like people would actually enlist.
I agree.
I think they would actually.
I feel like we
agree
said
with you
that last time too.
But
which actually is why like I came to the epiphany that when John was speaking that like I always thought Trump was going to take us to war with China, but honestly, if Biden was to ask like, hey, who wants to go save the Uyghurs, we're probably going to war, dude. Like. I'm not gonna deny that.
That's wild.
I mean, not Trump.
That's
if Biden was to ask that, like we
wild.
might actually do it, like, because there's so much.
Based off
if
that
it's true,
comment, do you really think so?
This is just
if the whole social justice mentality that's across the nation right now that's in the zeitgeist,
but we rely on China.
If that is truly how the nation feels, then why would he deny what the people feel?
I agree.
And so that's why it's like, if he asks that question, like, well,
okay,
that'd be
so
interesting. My whole point for the whole like moral dilemma in the people's hands and taking votes on these questions was so that we could actually see what America really is. If we're thieves and we're stealing oil, then that's what we are. If we're actually going out to save, the Uyghurs in Hong Kong and stuff, then that's what we are.
But do you think that corrupts the people?
I don't know. I actually think it's a little bit of both, man. I think sometimes some people will be up for stealing oil, and I also think sometimes people will be up for saving the Uyghurs.
To appeal to that ideal, because that's what you're trying to motivate within society.
Like
so
Joe
that's
Biden's
why
trying not to get canceled. This presidency has nothing to do with anything else other than he has to make 4 to 8 years of not getting canceled by social culture. He doesn't actually have to succeed at anything. He just needs to not be canceled. So this is his attempt at not being. He has to straddle a fine line of not being canceled, right? So what I've learned about cancel culture, people who deserve to be canceled, or people who don't deserve to be canceled, they immediately show a level of accountability. If you know it's fake or it's real, they show a level of accountability. When you put to Doc's argument, when you put that accountability on the people, that's when there's more thought put into the subject.
That's why that's why I say family unit.
So you know what I'm saying? That's when there's more thought put into the subject.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. But when you have citizens of America how they are, and it's like, if America does it, it's okay. That's where, like, we believe that. And I just feel specifically in America, if we were to overturn the application and let people just vote on whatever it was, the justification, like, it would trickle down. It would affect our laws. It would affect. I don't think the revelation
That's how we
of what
govern
America.
ourselves.
But I don't think the revelation of America would be what the government actually is. The revelation of America would be what the country actually is, the people, the society. And that itself, to me, is not something that is sustainable to keep.
But that's
the
how we
country
govern
together.
ourselves, dude. When you go to vote, you have laws and propositions that you vote on.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%. But it's not in black and white. Let's go to this country and take oil, or let's go destabilize this
It's
government.
never been so
Yeah, you know
macro.
what I'm saying? So now when I'm
because
checking
it's
a
all
box,
been local.
when I'm checking
states,
a box,
That's
I'm voting
international, not something domestic.
on. It's different, and it's also different
It's
when
more weight.
I'm voting for somebody who I know, I guess, maybe pro-military, so he may send my soldiers, he may mobilize, versus me checking a box saying mobilize.
So then he says, like, the president's supposed to, like he said, is supposed to represent the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I guess,
The problem is he doesn't, and that's what we're seeing.
I mean,
He pretended to, and so now that there's pressure and he has to make a decision, we're seeing if he would have been up if he was an accurate representation of what the loudest section of people are on the issue, then he would have went up there and said, yeah, fuck it, we finna get lit, let's go. But because he had any hesitation, it shows, dude, that this is not he's genuinely not where the people are on the issue. But I'm not there on the issue. So what is the majority of people on the issue? Because I don't think we should go.
I don't think we should go physically. I don't think we should go either. That's why I'm okay with what Trump was doing to trade.
I don't think we should physically mobilize and go. So now, let's go back to the examples, right? So now, what if we just make it point blank? We vote to go, we vote not to go. Would the people, when we vote not to go, would the people who wanted to go be okay, or would they have been better with an opportunity to do their own thing?
I think we should go, but I haven't made my peace whether or not I would go.
See, that's honestly that's for me. The fact that I haven't made that peace that I would go. That's why I can't say I would go.
I would only say we should go if I would go. There's no way I could say we should go if I wouldn't go.
And because I hesitate too, which is why I still say like
I need to go. Like, I grow up my whole life, and this is what I go put my life on the line for.
But there are other ways. That's why I'm like, that's why I keep saying, like, that's why I was okay with Trump through trade. There are other ways to deal with it. We don't have to do it physically.
It shouldn't be going on.
What with
What's
with
going
China?
on with them? It shouldn't be going on.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not right.
That's why I said.
But like I said before, we have stuff going on here.
Yes, that's true.
So like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, let's get stable. Let's get stable, and then we can address the world. But every time we take resources and we put it somewhere else before making sure the home front. But I mean, I guess that's idealistic too, because when will the home front ever be shored up? When will we ever be stable?
That's the hard part about it.
When's the
I don't
right
think
time?
that like Biden's gonna unite the country to do it. And I
Ever.
didn't think Trump would have the ability to do it either. maybe whoever comes up after them, or unless Biden does something incredible. But who knows? That's why I thought like if he is willing to rejoin all these organizations within like the Western coalitions and stuff like that for the European nations, then maybe something can be drawn up that can be do it, and somehow NATO can be involved or something like that. Um, but that's like the legal route, and I don't know how China's actually getting away with that part.
Okay, then question.
Like, cause we
If
saw the
we do
clips, like the
these-
interview. I forgot
okay.
where it was.
Yeah,
Kim,
like people know. That's
That's
why. That's why
horrible.
the question is like, why hasn't
He avoided the
Triple
questions
world government-
completely.
How
like,
many of them are there?
how many are there? What?
The Uighurs.
Oh, man, I'm pretty sure it's in the.
Millions?
No, I don't think it's the millions. I think if it is the millions, that's crazy. How do you spell it? Where is it?
Isn't it?
I think it honestly too is the pandemic. If the pandemic
There it
wasn't
is.
going on right now, this would be a bigger issue. If every country wasn't trying to keep itself alive, essentially.
Oh my God! Just to be over 12 million Uyghurs in the whole China, so there's no telling how many are in the.
Concentration camps. I don't know if I can
So
even say
I
that.
say that to say this, right? We go there, we save them. Where do we put them?
Apparently, not supposed to say certain things that you do.
No, where do we put them?
If we go save and bring it back, we're supposed to put them.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You would they would I would assume
Here.
it would be a large amount of people or like a large organization that does it, and they would probably do the same thing they did with the
We'd have
with
to
the
give refugee
rescued-
status. Refugee status
with the
to
people that they
national.
rescued after World War II, where they dispersed
to be
them
honest with you-
basically to go home, or they went to different nations and stuff.
As someone who is okay with Trump's immigration plan, I would be actually okay with this because these would be genuine refugees. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I would be okay with this personally.
I would be okay with it too. I'm just asking. So now, how do you think a large percentage of the Latin community would vote on it?
For this?
Because like
to bring them over, like,
to
share.
if they understand the whole process.
Yeah,
Not
I-
even Latin, the large percentages of immigrants voting here, or people with immigrant families.
I would assume they'd. I feel
Be
like
okay
immigrants
with it,
are
right?
pro-immigration, and this is technically an immigration thing, refugee status and all that stuff. Wouldn't it be under the same?
I think
Umbrella?
you'd be surprised.
That'd be interesting.
I actually don't know much about those people. Do they have like a natural, not natural, because that makes them sound
But I
like
get what
animals,
you're
but like,
saying
do
about
they
to say.
have like a home in China that was basically swallowed up by China,
Are they
much
technically
like
Mongolians?
the Israelis? I mean, they had Israel, but they technically didn't have Israel before World War II, and then we gave them Israel afterwards. So that's why if the Uyghurs
You're gonna get us
have,
canceled.
if the Uyghurs have like a region of China that used to be theirs,
We can just give it to
Mm.
them.
I mean, honestly, we probably would afterwards, because the only way people would accomplish this by force is to go to war with China.
So then how do we?
And so by the end of it,
we have to split up.
somebody would conquer the other.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
A mass migration of Han Chinese majority to Xinjiang, and the Uyghurs feel their culture and livelihoods are under threat.
Why would they migrate there?
So I guess.
Oh yeah, they're getting as close as they can to.
Are they? Oh, they're leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then there were people that were naturally in China that just had different belief systems. That's even more complicated, because then they want to stay home. Like,
So what? Do you form a new territory for them?
So we've already-
that's probably what would happen after the
U.S.
war.
So we've already accused them apparently based off the news, or this is BBC. BBC.com. Apparently based from BBC. Apparently the U.S. has already accused China of committing genocide against the Uyghurs.
Well, it makes sense. China's trying to get rid of religion.
Yeah, like remember, I don't know. Did we talk about it? China was getting rid of certain statues and
Yeah, we did run over it on a podcast. They're essentially killing all religion to.
things
just
are
make
getting wild
the
in
common-
China, man. I don't know.
And they're doing their
So
thing.
is
which
Biden right? It's just culture differences, like.
No, it's not cultural differences. It's fucking evil what's going on over there. It's just like, dude,
Man.
the reality of the world, man. It's getting so big and it's getting so small at the same time. It's like, what do we? Everything's naked and bare now. What do we address? And everything is so also nuanced. It's like every step you take is a misstep for another issue, because we're so deep into everything. We've gotten so far into the journey without actually making calculated steps. So now to the point we're so deep that if we go in any direction, we're fucking up something else that we should have set up the foundation for properly. Like, if I step this way, I'm offending somebody else because at one point they were oppressed. At one point we did this to them. At one point we
Dude,
did that
honestly,
to them.
I think that's because of the amount of information that we consume every day. Like, I think if we basically stop doing that to an extent, or at least control it, we'll stop feeling that way. Like, I honestly think at some point, like, I recently had this feeling in myself where I was just like, you know what? I don't care anymore.
Yup.
Like, I'm gonna do me. Like, everything I thought was just suddenly flipped on me in the world, and the way I was navigating isn't the way I should have been navigating according to what I'm seeing on screens around me every day. And so at some point, it's just like, dude, like, yeah, I'm gonna do my best to be my best, but I'm also going to walk the line that I choose to walk and walk it as best as I can, and whatever happens, happens.
That's true. Well, I did say if America's gonna be the villain, you might as well play that role. But it's just, oof,
Man.
boy, what's gonna go on inside the country? Can you think? Okay, so let's do this.
All right, last one. Because
Imagine,
we already had like 10
imagine a
after hours.
political race. Imagine a political race 20 years after we decide to let the public start deciding on these issues.
How long?
Imagine a political race 20 years, 30 years.
Okay.
Imagine the commercials that would run, since we're so focused on being revealing in truth.
It'd be kind of like what's that movie? Stormtroopers
Commercials
with the bugs.
The commercials would be
Dude.
crazy.
Replace
Yeah.
bugs with like China or
Like,
like
it would be wild. The amount of propaganda we'd see on TV
Yeah.
would be crazy. Crazy. I don't know, dude.
I mean that
Can you
happened
imagine
in,
what
like,
the
World
person's
War,
gonna be
World
like,
War
though?
II,
Like
the stuff
this-
like that happened. Like
I told
back
you
to
at
that.
a young age we had too many rights.
Were you saying,
Bro,
I
Doc?
feel like the person's gonna be wild. They'll be like, look at this, like, albino, gender neutral, like, just some weird, all religions at once faith.
Forearms.
It's gonna be like Futurama. If they did this in Futurama, there's like one person who's the Pope that's got like all the religions at once. And the
then
person,
the-
like, you can't tell if they're an alien or a person. They're just like everything. They're just like all inclusive, and we're like, that's our representative.
And then the other candidate's gonna be like, man, fuck this guy. It's gonna be some.
It's just the normal person. Fuck that guy. Yo, so thanks for watching a clip of FDT. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe, like the clip, leave a comment, and check out our page for more content. Tune into full episodes of FDT released every Friday on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Peace.